Epifanes Polyurethane is a two-part top coat paint that delivers a hard-wearing, high-gloss finish to a range of substrates. In this video we're going to take a quick look through the basics that you'll need to know in order to apply it. This is an extreme high-gloss two-part yacht paint that has great UV resistance, gloss retention and scratch resistant. This paint is well suited to standing up against the elements in all conditions, including harsh tropical environments. It can be applied over all existing two-part epoxy and polyurethane primer and paint systems. It can also be applied directly to a gel coat without the need for a primer, providing that the gel coat is in good condition and is not cracked or blistered. If the gel coat is in poor condition, then a priming process first is recommended. This paint is suitable for application to most substrates, including GRP, metal and wood, although due to the slightly less flexible nature of the paint, it should only be applied to what we would consider to be a stable wood surface, such as a plywood or cold moulded boat. For boats that remain in the water permanently, this paint should be used above the waterline only, but it can be used as a hull paint for boats that are stored out of the water most of the time. For best results, application of this paint should be done by brush or roller, so let's take a look at how that's done. If you have a bare substrate of wood, metal or a poor condition gel coat, then you should first apply a primer. The Epifanes epoxy primer would be my recommendation for this, as it gives great corrosion resistance and a high build thickness for surface preparation. The Epifanes Polyurethane primer is also a suitable base upon which to apply this paint. And if your surface is already in a good condition, then the polyurethane primer would be my recommendation. Take a look at some of my other quick guide videos for the application of various primers to get you up to this stage. Sand your substrate before application of the polyurethane top coat. Whether your substrate is a well-conditioned gel coat, a freshly primed or previously painted surface, you should sand to a grit of no finer than 220. 180 is my usual preference here. Once you've sanded the surface, vacuum off any remaining dust and degrease the surface. This can be done with the Epifanes spray thinner, denatured alcohol or methylated spirits. Now this is a two-component paint, which means that both components need to be mixed together at the correct ratio in order for the paint to cure. The mix ratio for this is 2:1 and measuring by weight is recommended. Measure out your desired weight of component A into a mixing cup and then add half of that weight on again with component B and mix the two together thoroughly. You have an induction time with this product, meaning that it wants to sit for a while to allow the reaction between both components to begin. Once mixed, leave the product in the mixing cup for around 10 minutes. This is a perfect time to have a check back on your surface and take one last look over it before application. You can thin your coats at anything from 0 to 10% by volume. The Epifanes Polyurethane brush thinner would be my recommendation for this. The addition of thinner will give you a little more flow out of the paint and reduce dragging, particularly when applying by brush. If you don't have a great deal of experience with applying polyurethane paints, then I would recommend adding around 10% thinner. This paint is specifically formulated for application by brush or roller. Should you wish to use a spray application finish, take a look at the Epifanes Speed Coat product instead. The Epifanes Multipren foam rollers are ideal for application of this paint, as are these Anza felt rollers, which are my personal preference. Roll out the paint in opposing directions to ensure an even film coverage of the paint. There is no need to tip this paint with a brush, and my recommendation for applying polyurethane top coats is to work the surface as little as possible. Work in small sections and aim to get the paint on quickly, efficiently, and then leave it alone for the flow out magic to happen. Here in this high speed footage, you can see just what this paint actually does as it flows out after application. Application by brush is done in much the same way. Brush in opposing directions and aim to work in small sections to allow minimal working of the surface. Subsequent coats of this paint can be applied without the need for sanding in between coats, providing they are applied within a 24 to 48 hour window. This is very helpful when it comes to building multiple coats without the need for a sanding process in between. If you are applying outside of this window, you should sand the previous coat to a grade of 220 grit. Prior to the final coat application, it is recommended that you sand a little more finely, and anything up to 400 grit would be suitable. This will help to give a smoother substrate upon which to apply your final coat. As before, vacuum off any remaining dust, degrease the surface again, and then apply your next coat. Drying times for this paint are going to be around 20 hours at 25 degrees C or 77 F, 24 hours at 20 degrees C or 68 F, 30 hours at 15 degrees C or 59 F, and 48 hours at 10 degrees C or 50 F. Application below 10 degrees C or 50 F and above 30 degrees C or 86 F is not recommended. 3 top coats are the recommended minimum, and these can all be applied in the same way, either within the 24 to 48 hour window without sanding, or outside of this window following a sanding and cleaning preparation process. So there we go, an extreme gloss, hard wearing, scratch resistant 2-part paint finish, formulated for brush and roller application. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them or put them to the technical team at Epifanes if I'm not able. Cheers guys, I'll catch you in the next one.